We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Log Cabin Republicans President Charles Moran claims at the GOP convention last week the platform is now inclusive. Online backlash from conservatives calling him pedophile proves otherwise.
Kamala Harris launched her presidential campaign in Wisconsin, endorsed and introduced by lesbian Senator Tammy Baldwin. The cheering crowd in Wisconsin may have showed Harris has the required support to win.
Kamala Harris launched her campaign in Wisconsin, criticizing Trump's Project 2025 and rallying against his conservative policies, saying, "We are not going back."
Join PrideFête 2024 on August 10th for music, food, and LGBTQ plus diversity at Richardson Historic Park in Wilton Manors.
Bridgerton's fourth season highlights Benedict Bridgerton's queer storyline. Fans are eager to see his character explore his sexuality further.
Good evening and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight certified analytics company vidIQ that we have had more than 9 million views. It is Thursday, July 25th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it. Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade and float design, production, and casting. He is an advocate for LGBTQ plus rights. He is proud to be living the dream here in Wilton Manors, serving on a city advisory board and ongoing civic project initiatives as a dedicated volunteer. Larry, you have a casting announcement for a documentary named Wilton Wins. You need a talented Indigenous Native American Indian male, age 21 to 30, to play a special role. Tell me, what's happening, Larry?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I have the privilege of being the associate producer with Marriott's Mary Productions and working closely with both Dana Davis and Candace Kane. And what we're doing here locally on the South Florida unit is working on a wonderful documentary called Wilton Wins. I don't want to give away too much more, but what we're looking for, as you mentioned, is an Indigenous male American Indian. And it's important to maintain that integrity. So we are looking for somebody in that role to be part of, we'll just say for now, a past and present experience in the documentary. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful opportunity. Serious inquiries only, please. You may contact me through either my message in Facebook under Larry Farver, and only serious inquiries only, please. Or you can contact me through my email at lawrencewaynefarver@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll get back to all serious applicants within a week or two. Thank you so much.
Larry, let's clarify. Does this have to be a gay person or a straight person, or is just you're looking for a young person that meets this criteria?
Yes, actually, sexual identity is not a component, but they do need to be comfortable working in an environment where, we have the historical piece, which I won't go into too much because I don't want to be a spoiler, but there will be a transformative scene to the present Wilton Manors. And that's about as much as I can say, but they do need to be comfortable in our community. And certainly it's important for us to maintain the authenticity of someone being, Indigenous, American Indian, and preferably in that age category or appearance in that age category. So we look forward to your responses. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Larry. And if you meet that criteria or if you know anyone, please contact Larry Farver. Let's welcome Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBTQ Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 7 books of poetry. He's an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of print and online publications. Welcome, Gregg.
Well, I am so darn happy to be here. It's always a good time. And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, Dr. Edward Summers. He is the executive director of Prideline's Miami's LGBTQ Community Center. He served as a primary therapist and program director at Eye Care Treatment Center in West Palm Beach. He was also the founder and CEO of the New York-based nonprofit, The Thinkubator. Welcome, Dr. Summers.
Thanks, Gregg. It's always good to be on a show with you. I'm not on Mondays, so I'm missing being on a show with you. So I always love your spiffy comments. And of course, Larry, it's good to be with you as well.
Thank you.
2 quick shout outs. Pridelines, the organization I work for, we have 2 events coming up this weekend. One Friday tomorrow, which is our prequel to our gala. Our gala is August 17th, so it's quickly approaching. So we've heard from a lot of our friends that they're going to be in town in August. And so we're doing a prequel, just to preview what they're missing out on gala. So that's tomorrow, 6 to 9 at One Paraiso in Miami. So hit us up on our website if you're interested. And then on Saturday, I'm hosting a pool party at my house here in Fort Lauderdale. So that should be fun. We're almost at capacity, pretty much at capacity, but we're pushing it. So that should be fun as well. People get to see some live entertainment. We have some DJs, we have some performers, open bar, and it's just going to be a good old time with at the Summers compound. So looking forward to it.
Nice.
We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for Thursday, July 25th, 2024. Let's queer up breaking news. Prime Minister Netanyahu tells joint Congress gays for Gaza is like chickens for KFC. Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to a joint session of Congress. The fiery defense of the invasion of Palestine included a direct call out against the American LGBTQ plus community. He suggested that the defense of Hamas was the success of money and politics coming from Iran. He said that those U.S. supporters have become Iran's useful idiots. He then specifically called out LGBTQ plus support for Hamas by saying gays for Gaza is like chickens for KFC.
I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC. These protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about. They not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history. They call Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled?
This reference is a historical observation to the contradiction of support that is illogical to its final conclusion. A famous example is 1939 support from some Jews of the growing presence in Germany for the Nazi Party. The phrase was Jews for Hitler. Gays for Gaza is like chickens for KFC, makes reference to the unconditional rejection of LGBTQ by Muslim governments, including Hamas. Meanwhile, during the speech, protests were going on in the capital by Palestinian supporters against Netanyahu and arguments that he and Israel are committing war crimes in Palestine. This is such a tough, controversial topic. This has been going on since October 7th, 2023, when Israel was viciously attacked and they lost about 1,200 people they lost, and another 12 people are still captured. So this has been going on way too long. When you think about the facts, almost 40,000 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip, another 90,000 injured on that Gaza Strip. Now, this is so controversial, and no matter what side you're on, you're going to get heavily criticized, whether you're defending Israel's right to defend themselves or like defending humanity, right? And the humanitarian crisis that's happening. Some would argue that on the Gaza Strip that, the Hamas, particularly as it relates to our community, will persecute our community, right? We're not accepted in the Gaza Strip. So some would argue that, right? Some would argue that Hamas is a terrorist group. Yeah. So no matter what side of the argument that you're on, you're going to get heavily criticized. At the end of the day, I think that I get the reference that, it's the oxymoron is what Bibi is mentioning in his speech, is that why are gays supporting this when they're not accepted by the Hamas government? I completely get that. I think that the much larger challenge here is the atrocities that have occurred, right? The fact that we have lost almost 40,000 people killed, another 90,000 people injured. That's a humanitarian crisis. And I think that that's what the problem that a lot of people are having here. I hope that the Biden administration, in all their negotiations, are able to have a ceasefire in this particular case. But this is a very controversial topic. It's going to be all over the 2024 U.S. election. And I just hope that it comes to a ceasefire so that we can focus on U.S. politics during this election. Because if it doesn't, this is going to come back to bite, our government.
Right. Well, and of course, as you may have noticed, Bibi did not mention ceasefire yesterday in his speech, which is sort of a strange thing. He can't seem to open his mouth, though, without putting his foot in it. And we can't forget that LGBTQ plus folks in Israel have been speaking out against Netanyahu and the country's far-right government long before this war began. So we are, LGBTQ folks are a presence there, and they don't approve of Netanyahu at all. But unsurprisingly, he just showed us an example of how much of a right-wing homophobe he is with that comment. And to be fair, there has been long been talk about outside agitators such as Iran. So we can't forget about that. There is more going on here than just the people of Gaza trying to defend themselves.
Right, Larry, when's enough is enough? Like, what's your thoughts on this situation and what's occurred in the Gaza Strip? But then think about the story and what I reported on, the fact that a lot of protests was happening and a lot of burning of the American flag outside of the Capitol while he was speaking. So what are your thoughts on this situation?
I just think these are unprecedented times. And like you said, I really hope that there can be a ceasefire as we ready for the elections. I think the most important thing I personally look at is I hope we never forget what took place during the Holocaust. People say that genocides can't happen again, but if you look throughout history, not only the 6 million Jews and other people in our community and people with disabilities who were lost, but you look at other genocides throughout our history, whether it's the Native American Indian or other cultures and countries. I think we just need to be mindful, and really look at humanity. And again, I think that the key is there, and we have to look at making sure that people vote with their hearts, but they look at that and they really take a close look at who they're voting for this year.
I love your point. This notion of humanity, right, and being humane. This has gone on since October 23rd.
Almost
it's going to be
Yes.
almost a year,
Yes.
and we've lost a lot of lives.
Yes. Yeah.
When's enough is enough. I think enough is enough, and I hope that we see a ceasefire soon. And as you said, Greg, we haven't heard him say anything about ceasefire. No. So hopefully, today I know he's meeting with President Joe Biden and all of Joe Biden's administrators and cabinet secretaries, and so hopefully I hope they put the pressure on him to have a ceasefire pretty soon. We've lost a lot of lives, and we're not saying don't defend yourself, right? He has a right to defend Israel, but this has been going on too long, and so it's time. It's time that it's too much destruction. It's too much destroying of lives. Too many deaths. One death is enough. One death is enough.
Absolutely.
And we've seen a lot. First this evening, let's queer up politics. Log Cabin Republican National President Charles Moran roasted by GOP at RNC for queer posts. Charles Moran, president of the Log Cabin Republicans, shared a post on Twitter saying it's official. The national GOP platform has been stripped of all anti-LGBTQ plus language. Inclusion won. Thank you, @real Donald Trump. However, Moran's declaration was quickly met with backlash from fellow conservatives. We are showing you the avalanche against Moran and the Log Cabin Republicans as being pedophiles, sick, and not welcome in the GOP. Moran's tweet included a photo of himself holding a booklet-sized version of the newly revised Republican Party platform. While the party platform removed the party's longstanding opposition to same-sex marriage, it still emphasizes traditional family values. Chapter 8 in particular, Section 1 states, quote, Republicans will promote a culture that values the sanctity of marriage, the blessings of childhood, the foundational role of families, and supports working parents. We will end policies that punish families, end quote. The GOP platform includes sections dedicated to banning LGBTQ content from schools and rolling back legal protections for LGBTQ individuals. It also promises religious liberty, protections for Christians who discriminate against queer people, and aims to keep Christian-hating individuals out of the country. Barely 34 minutes after Moran's tweet, one conservative user commented, "You are disgusting pedophile." Others joined in, calling Moran disgusting and I hate that word, faggot. People also mocked Moran for supporting Republicans and believing they would accept them. The moment demonstrates the tremendous contradictions that Log Cabin Republican represents in the GOP. There's this saying that if the price of acceptance is the denial of my existence, I don't want it. And I have a long problem with the Log Cabin Republicans.
Absolutely.
They constantly want to be accepted into a party that does not accept them. But I don't think it's ironic or not, but I was going to bring a printout of the leadership of the Log Cabin Republicans, and to no surprise, it's all white males.
Of course it is. Yeah.
There's 2 white females that's a part of the leadership, but it's all white males. And I think that this group has been traumatized so much. And they so much want to be a part of their family, right?
These are desperate.
This is an act of desperation that they so much want to be a part of it, that they will allow a party to, just pretty much just deny who they are, right?
Yeah, and defile them.
At what price?
Right. I can't believe that we are yet again sullying this set by talking about Charles Moran, who loves House Speaker Mike Johnson almost as much as Johnson hates us. Bibi Netanyahu got it wrong with his gays for Gaza is like chickens for KFC comment. Log Cabin Republicans are like chickens for KFC. That would be more appropriate. But remember, gay haircuts like the one that Moran has aren't cheap in D.C. And greedy Charles Moran thinks the Republicans are the ones to help her hold on to her hard-earned ducats. Well, she's wrong.
It's funny. Charles once said, I'm going to quote him, quote, "I don't want to see my movement, the gay movement, hijacked by far left cultural Marxist. And I don't want the anti-gay forces that still exist in the social conservative movement to hijack the progress that I helped make in the Republican Party. Well, the platform is still hijacked.
Right.
You have made no progress. You will not make no progress with these individuals. And you know what? Out South Florida just reported, fresh off the news, they just reported that Griner reported that literally it blew up. Yeah. It blew up during the RNC. So
In Wisconsin?
yeah, during the
Oh
RNC, it was like something like 300% that they reported, that Grindr reported that the number of people that were on the Grindr app. So it's so ironic.
You know, it's Lindsey Graham and
just all of them, right?
I'm sure, Miss Lindsay.
But you know, I feel bad for the log cabin Republicans because they hate themselves so much. They're self-hating individuals who just want to fit in. They just want acceptance.
Right.
And I think it dates back, when I think about this psychologically, it dates back to their families. And they want to be a part of a family so bad that they're willing to compromise who they are. They're willing to allow the Republican Party to have all types of platforms and be in denial about who the Republican Party is. The Republican Party under Donald Trump, under Project 2025, it does not support our community, period. No matter what they think, no matter what they spew out there, they do not support us. And if Donald Trump is able to win, and him and Vance, J.D. Vance, they will enact policies that goes against our community.
Yes.
And we've already seen it. I mean, the last couple of years I've seen it in state legislators. We've seen the anti-gay legislations that have been adopted in very conservative states. So it's not going to be any different if J.D. Vance and Donald Trump comes into office.
Right. And do they think that because they're log cabin Republicans, they'll be exempt? Oh, no. You guys are okay. We won't bother you.
Yeah, no. It's not. It's a shame, and I really hope that, you know, well, one, I don't think that they're ever going to wake up, but, you know, quite frankly, I hope that somebody shows them some love, because I just feel like they're loveless at this point. You know, one is seeking love out of the conservative movement that will never love them. You will never be loved by the conservative movement,
Or by me.
or by me. Larry, what's up next?
Yes, next let's queer up lesbian culture. Lesbian Senator Baldwin endorses Harris as presidential campaign is kicked off in Wisconsin. Not since Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign has there been such a focus on an election cycle on women. And the first launch of the Harris presidential campaign focused on that issue this week. Presidential candidate Kamala Harris launched her campaign on Tuesday in Wisconsin, a crucial battleground state, with a strong introduction and endorsement from two-term Senator Tammy Baldwin. Historic in that it was the first introduction at the first campaign event in America for the new presidential candidate. It was likely a demonstration of support from Harris of the LGBTQ community. Addressing a packed high school gym in West Allis, Senator Baldwin declared, "I am so proud to support Kamala Harris for President of the United States." The rally came shortly after President Joe Biden's surprise announcement that he would not seek a second term, endorsing Harris as his successor. Baldwin and Harris both underscored the critical role of Wisconsin and how it will play in the upcoming election. Baldwin is running for a third term in the Senate against Trump-endorsed MAGA candidate Eric Hovde, a multimillionaire who first sought the seat in 2012 but lost the primary to former Wisconsin Governor Tommy Thompson. Hovde considered a second run against Baldwin in 2018 but decided against it. The same happened for a potential run against Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers in 2022. Now, Hovde has an endorsement from Trump. Being totally opposed to abortion, he desires to repeal the Affordable Care Act and supports banning trans athletes from sports. Since his initial Senate campaign, the far-right Republican has grown a statement-making mustache and taken up part-time residence in Orange County, California, where he runs SunWest Bank. This has opened him up to carpetbagging accusations from Baldwin. Well, what do you think, folks? What can we say?
Kamala Harris has a long history of support for the LGBTQ plus community. Very long. So Tammy Baldwin's endorsement doesn't really come as much of a surprise. Come on, cheeseheads, get on board the Kamala train. Remember, the only orange things in your lives should be a brick of Wisconsin cheddar.
I love that.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen.
I love this. I mean, Tammy Baldwin, who is a historic figure, one of the first, openly elected officials, and she's running for her third term. So this is really significant. But to no surprise, as Greg mentioned, Kamala Harris has a long history with our community. In 2004, she, was one of the ones who was leading the efforts with performing gay marriages, right, when it became legalized. And so, there's some videos out there of her, literally telling, clerks, start to perform those marriages. And I think she performed one of the first ones in the state of California. Oh, wow. So she does have a long and storied history of standing with the LGBTQ community. So there is no surprise that Tammy would support her. I'm glad that this was one of her first events. Wisconsin is such a critical state. We have one of the big things about this year is about Vice President Harris really trying to maintain that blue wall, but then expanding and keeping Joe Biden's expansion of the states that have flipped to blue. So there's some critical states, and Wisconsin is absolutely a critical state. So we need to win that state. We need Wisconsin, we need Arizona, we need Michigan, we need Pennsylvania, and we need Georgia, of course. But Tammy Baldwin, I think she has a great argument against this her opponent here. He does part-time live in California. He's running a major bank out there, so he is open. He's opened himself up to major criticisms of being this carpetbagger, which no one likes carpetbaggers, right? No one likes a candidate who does not actually live in their locality. So he is very, very open. But, in terms of his rhetoric, I mean, he's trying to repeal a lot of the progress that our nation have made. And I think Tammy has to jump on the Kamala's bandwagon of saying that we're trying to move forward. We're not going backwards. And everything that he's doing, abortion again, right? Repealing the Affordable Care Act. How many times do we have to talk about the Affordable Care Act, right? I thought that was done already, right? Like, stop trying to repeal this. Like, it's helped so many Americans, right? So, banning trans athletes, right? So this is, it's going to be a critical battle for Tammy Baldwin, but I think she has a winning argument here, right? And she sticks with Kamala Harris campaign slogan of moving forward, and this is about liberty. This is about the future, right? Versus the past. The conservatives are litigating previous issues, right? And this was like 2 elections ago, right? And they're still with these same issues. They don't have no vision at all. Is part of the problem.
They're
so
stuck.
I think she has they're very stuck.
Yes,
very stuck.
And what are you saying? Freedom? That's a part of her slogan too.
I love freedom. Yes,
yeah, right.
Freedom.
So
yes, her new ad is about freedom. And this is like throwing it back to them, right?
Yes.
This was supposed to be their thing of freedom, right? Free democracy. Like we should be free to do what we want. But like her new ad is so amazing. It's over a minute long, but it's great and it's worth seeing. Like, I mean, it's an ad with all the demographics represent America, right? It's not just all white men, right? And the audience, like she has such a diverse crowd in her ad. Also, one of the things about her new ad that's about freedom is that she has been able to garner crowds that Joe Biden hasn't. That's so critical. So young people,
sure.
Very diverse communities of people coming out to support her. So this new freedom ad is going to be it's amazing. And I think it's going to impact, communities because you see yourself in that ad, right? You see, you literally look at it, you get excited because you see people that look like you. And I think Tammy has to, just jump on his bandwagon, and really define her opponent here. And the fact that he's tried 2 times and he's failed, I do think she has good chances, but it's all about her defining him and staying on offense.
Absolutely. Next, let's queer up politics. Kamala Harris launches presidential campaign slamming Trump's Project 2025. Vice President Kamala Harris kicked off her presidential campaign with a vibrant event in Wisconsin this week, where she energized the crowd with a clear message and a pointed critique of Donald Trump's conservative agenda. During her speech, Harris criticized Project 2025, a conservative blueprint outlining Trump's potential second-term agenda. She said, quote, "Donald Trump wants to take our country backwards. He and his extreme Project 2025 agenda will weaken the middle class. We know we got to take this seriously," end quote. Project 2025 promotes controversial policies, including ending anti-discrimination measures for LGBTQ individuals, restricting gender-affirming care, and banning transgender people from military service. It says, quote, "Only heterosexual 2-parent families are safe for children," end quote. It also advocates for halting U.S. aid's efforts to promote LGBTQ rights internationally. The vice president also reiterated her opposition to Trump's previous economic policies, such as attempts to dismantle the Affordable Care Act.
America has tried these failed economic policies before, but we are not going back. We are not going back.
Despite Project 2025 being developed by 140 of his former aides, Trump denies any connection with it. On the other hand, in a 2022 video from a Heritage Foundation dinner, you see Trump praising Heritage as a great group and saying they would lay the groundwork in details for exactly what our movement will do. Today, Vice President Harris delivered the keynote speech at the American Federation of Teachers and continued to advocate for the LGBTQ community.
So we want to ban assault weapons, and they want to ban books. Can you imagine? All the while, these extremists also attack the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. They pass so-called don't say gay laws. Now I have to tell you, so many of you may know, in 2004, on Valentine's Day weekend, I was one of the first elected officials in the country to perform same-sex marriages. So here's the thing. It pains me so to think 20 years later that there are some young teachers in their 20s who are afraid to put up a photograph of themselves and their partner for fear they could lose their job. And what is their job? The most noble of work, teaching other people's children. And God knows we don't pay you enough as it is. In this moment, we are in a fight for our most fundamental freedoms. And to this room of leaders, I say, bring it on.
Does anyone else feel like they can finally breathe again? That hope has been restored? I mean, she is truly, sometimes I think if she had had this kind of energy when she ran for president the first time, would things have been different?
Yeah.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Now is her time. And I just hope that Harris is cautious when it comes to her choice of running mate. A lot is at stake with that decision. So please choose wisely.
Yeah, I mean, this energy. I mean, we needed this energy, right? Like people who lean left and liberals, Democrats, whatever you want to define yourself, people who support Biden. I mean, I think that we were a little drained with the activities over the last month, and we needed a new energy. And she's brought a new energy to the Democratic Party. She's brought a new energy to America, right? To preserving and saving our democracy. I love the speech with the teachers union. Particularly in states like Florida, where we last year lost like thousands of teachers who fled the state because of our anti-LGBTQ policies, our anti-Black policies, just the way in which this governor, who's very conservative, I won't say his name, who supports our president running for re-election, he literally has, enacted legislation that is just so discriminatory. So, like, to Kamala's point there, people can't be themselves. People can't post pictures. People had to go to bathrooms that were of the gender of their assigned birth versus the gender that they identify with. So we have seen the implications here in Florida of parts of Project 2025, right? And so I'm glad that, she spoke to the teachers. I think she spoke to the hearts and minds of them. She really, really, really has appealed to them. I love the end quote where she says, bring it on. She is ready. And this reminds me of in 2008, that fired up and ready to go, right? Under the Obama movement, right?
Yes.
Like the woman from South Carolina, African-American lady who was going door to door. She was in her 70s or whatever. She's like, yep, I'm fired up and ready to go. And that bring it on reminds me of that moment. I do want to talk a little bit about The fact that last night, President Biden, gave a phenomenal address to our nation. And, he talked about what's at stake here. And he talked about the future of our democracy. He talked about, he started off by talking about presidents and, Jefferson and Washington and Lincoln and Roosevelt. And I loved what he said about the fact that, like, we don't bow down to kings in this nation, right? That's not what democracy is. He talked about democracy as being an idea, right? And that we're fighting for the idea of what a democracy is. He talked about all the accomplishments of their administration and everything that they have fought for, everything that they've accomplished, and everything that, we need to continue to fight for as a nation. And so I just, one of the lines that he said was, quote, the sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you. It's about your families. It's about your futures. It's about we the people. And we can never forget that. And I never have, and quote. And like, so Joe Biden, such an amazing president, to be honest with you, and has had so many accolades, and such a courageous person to be able to bow out, to know that it was my time to bow out, and I know he's criticized, well, he should have done it sooner or later. That's nor here or there. He identified his weakness. He identified that because he loved his country so much, and he said it in his speech, he loves his country so much that he said that it was the right thing to do. And he, everything that he's fought for, absolutely corresponds to our community, and it impacts the LGBTQ plus community. There's a lot at stake in this election. Project 2025 is in fact Trump's blueprint. I don't care if he tries to deny it or not. It is the conservative blueprint. He is bought by the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation, people don't know how public policies are often made. Public policy is made, and I have a PhD in public policy, so I will tell you this. Public policy is made by the think tanks. It's made by the educators. It's made by us who craft and do all this research and think of policies, and we feed it to the elected officials and their staffers, and they just go tweak it and put their names on it. But it's really made by think tanks. And the Heritage Foundation has laid out a platform. They have laid out the conservative agenda. Whether people want to say it's not and Trump want to distance himself, that will be the platform for the Republican Party should Trump get in. And so to Biden's point, to Harris' point, we're fighting for our democracy. We're fighting for, we do not want an autocratic government, right? We don't want an authoritarian leader, right? Our dictator, right? Which is what Donald Trump wants, which is what the Heritage Foundation is putting forth in the Project 25. So it is so crucial, so crucial that we pay attention to this election cycle, that we listen to the words of our elected officials, and that we listen to our president who humbly bowed out, gracefully and humbly bowed out. Talk about a man who, like, of conviction, who really does believe in the promise of this democracy. Most leaders won't bow out. Most leaders will keep on going. He did it for the sake of the future.
Well, I think about old Mother Reagan in her Alzheimer's state. That we were just, we were fooled into thinking he was still functioning. He was barely functioning. So bravo to President Biden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and let's bring it on. Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Celebrate Caribbean culture at 2024 PrideFête on August 10th. Celebrate Caribbean culture at PrideFête 2024 on Saturday, August 10th. Gather at Richardson Historic Park and Nature Preserve in Wilton Manors to attend this most awaited party of the year. PrideFête is a fun, joy-filled celebration that focuses on the diversity of the LGBTQ plus community from the diversity of the Caribbean culture. This vibrant event will feature music, food, and an atmosphere celebrating LGBTQ diversity. Pre-sale tickets are available until August 9th, with a general admission online ticket at $7 and $10 at the gate on the day of the event. For a premium experience, the VIP package is available at $55 online during pre-sale and $75 at the gate, including hors d'oeuvres, indoor access, and 5 drink tickets. Powered by nonprofit Hotspots magazine, happening on television network, PrideFête promises a memorable celebration. You don't want to miss the party of the summer. For more details, visit pridefete.lgbt. This seems amazing. I have not been yet, but we will be there. Pride Lines will be there. We're signed up as a vendor, and I'm quite frankly, selfishly, I'm looking forward to just going to have fun. So I told the team, you guys got to man the booth, and I'm just going to go and enjoy. And so I've looked at some of the costumes and everything that people wear at this. I love it, and I'm one who, I love the clothes.
It's great food. It's great music,
and I think we need to celebrate during these times. A continuation of our Pride last month, and celebrating Pride with the Caribbean heritage. Absolutely.
It is a great event. I cannot wait to attend.
I love it too because let's bring it back to politics. Our Vice President Harris, her father's from Jamaica. So I love this connection, and so hopefully we can get her down here for one.
You should stop by.
I know. Come on, Kamala. You need to win Florida, right? Let's turn Florida black blue, right?
Next, let's queer up entertainment. Benedict's queer journey to take center stage in Bridgerton Season 4. It's official! Bridgerton's 4th installment will center on fan favorite, queer character Benedict Bridgerton. The second oldest Bridgerton brother, portrayed by Luke Thompson, was confirmed as queer during Season 3, where he was seen in a steamy threesome with Lady Tilly Arnold and newcomer Paul Suarez. Since then, fans have eagerly anticipated more of Benedict's story, hoping to see him explore his sexuality further. The show's Twitter account announced, quote, "It has been brought to this author's attention that perhaps it is time to unmask the newest suitor of the marriage mart. Benedict Bridgerton's story is coming next season," end quote. Fans are thrilled by the news. One fan commented, quote, "It's gonna be gay," end quote, while another wrote, quote, "Finally, my man is having his moment," end quote. However, Bridgerton lovers will have to wait, as filming is rumored to begin only in September, with reports suggesting that the new series might not air before 2026. Well, despite my strong and deep affection for Jonathan Bailey, who, as everyone knows, plays Anthony Bridgerton, I'm reluctant to admit that I've never actually watched Bridgerton. So I'm really not a fan of period pieces, and I've sort of staunchly avoided the show, but this just might be the thing to get me to join the Bridgerton cult and watch.
I think you should. I mean, I haven't watched all seasons, and my sisters love Bridgerton. So every time I'm home back in New York, or if they're visiting Florida, it's on the TV. And so I've watched a little bit of it. It's very intriguing. I really like it. I wish I had a little bit more downtime to watch it. And maybe after our gala, I'll binge watch it for a week since I'll take off for a week.
That's a good idea. I think I'll do the same.
Yeah. It's looking great though. So tonight's broadcast is presented by viewers like you and the generous support by Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
We finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up sports. Britney Griner is pops to new child. New parent Britney Griner recently shared her experience of parenthood following the birth of her child this month. Appearing on CBS Sports, We Need to Talk, Griner clarified her preferred title is Pops when host Tarika Foster Brasby referred to her as Mom. But don't read too much in between the lines, as her statement in 2015 says she identifies as a woman. Griner was part of a highly publicized prisoner exchange between the United States and Russia in 2022. She was harassed for 300 days in a Russian prison for being a woman, queer, and black. Pops from Queer News Tonight, congratulations. Wow, I'm very happy for her. She's been through it all and back, and hopefully now she's be able to settle down and enjoy her family and her new baby.
Yeah, congrats, Britney. You're such a tremendous athlete, amazing person.
Yes.
For what you endured, and we're glad to have you back. And congrats. And I think people should be called whatever they want to be called in terms of their kids. Pops is great.
Absolutely.
Congrats to Pops and Sherelle on the birth of baby Bash. And looking at the pictures of the two of you, there was just such love in their eyes.
I like that, Greg.
Yes.
It was such love. It's such love.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
really
what it's all about.
That's right. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up politics. Michigan bans LGBTQ panic defense. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer has signed a bill banning the LGBTQ plus panic defense, which historically justified attacks based on someone's identity. Whitmer, one of the possible running mates for presidential candidate Kamala Harris, signed 39 bills on July 23rd, making Michigan the 20th state to end this defense. Florida banned it last year. Whitmer's action is part of her effort to make Michigan safer for the queer community. Go ahead, Governor Whitmer. You know, that's amazing. And, you know, I think Kamala Harris was one of the first ones, actually, ironically enough, who got it banned in the state of California. So I think that this defense is stupid. It's defense based on our identity, and our sexual orientation. And I just think it's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. And I'm glad that states is being proactive, and making communities more safe for us. And so that people don't hide behind their discriminatory acts and behaviors.
I remember, I think the first time we ever heard about it, was the Jenny Jones. So there was the Jenny Jones show, and it turned out actually it was a guy from Michigan, ironically, who actually killed somebody else because the guy on the show professed his love for him, and then he ended up killing the guy, and he used the gay panic defense. The gay panic defense.
Yeah. And you know, I'm pretty shocked that Florida was pretty progressive, and that the governor was signing this. Like, that's weird. There had to be. I want to do some more research on this. There had to be some sort of deal negotiated, backroom deals, where you know they kind of just pushed that legislation through and like put it on the last line of another bill that the governor signed, and the governor made a mistake and signed it and didn't really know what he was signing. That sort of goes back to our federal legislation when you have pork barrel legislation, right? You negotiate so many things in one bill. Sometimes they don't know that one line.
Something slips
through the cracks. Because I'm shocked that Governor DeSantis, would sign something like this. But kudos to Florida for making our community more safe. And that not allowing people to hide behind their discriminatory behaviors and actions, against our community. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Pride Skate Night, the official pre-party to PrideFête on August 1st. Get ready for Pride Skate Night at Extreme Action Park on August 1st. This is an official pre-party to PrideFête, which is scheduled for August 10th. Pride Skate Night's general tickets are $15, including entrance, skate rental, and festivities. VIP tickets will cost $25 with 2 free drink tickets. Attendees will enjoy a full liquor bar, roller skating, and dancing with beats by DJ T-Pro Mix and performances by Velvet Lenore and Rihanna Patron. A portion of the proceeds will go to Stonewall Pride and Wilton Manors. Visit extremeactionpark.com for more information. Oh, this is great. I mean, this just continues begins the celebration, for PrideFête, and I'm looking forward to potentially going. I have my son in town, so it makes it a little bit difficult. He's been here all summer since school ended in New York, and so it's difficult, like leaving my 11-year-old and my 12-year-old nephew, which has become kind of my other son. So my two boys at home. So I'll try to get a babysitter for this. So they're in town for the rest of August. So
are you a skater?
I love skating. I used to, so back in the Bronx, back in the day, so I'm dating myself to the 90s, we used to have something called Skate Key, which was like a big thing in the Bronx to go to Skate Key. And so the Friday, Saturday nights was at Skate Key in the Bronx. And so we loved skating in the Bronx, and that was like our thing to do. And Skate Key had like a big skating ring, but then it had a dance floor. It was a lot of fun. So I grew up skating a lot and just having a big dance party.
Are you a skater?
I actually got some inlines, but I'm going to go back a decade before you. And I remember in New Jersey going out and skating and to the great dance hits and out in Western New Jersey in a town called Flanders.
Wow,
So,
that's wild.
Yeah.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up sports. Olympics games have always been queer, from ancient Greece to Paris 2024. As the Olympic Games in Paris approach, let us reflect on the queer history underpinning the modern event. The origins of the Olympics date back nearly 3,000 years to ancient Greece, where homosexuality was not a defined concept, but homosexual activity was common among men. Ancient pottery depicting athletes in erotic, often naked poses is evidence of the homoerotic nature of the games. Greek and Roman history expert David Stone Potter confirmed this, noting that some gymnasiums had to ban men who frequented them solely to pursue romantic encounters. Fast forward to this week's Olympic Games that will have more LGBTQ plus athletes in history. We look forward to the ongoing history that will unfold. Are the Olympics over yet?
No, they just started in Paris.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and they'll have the headliners. Celine Dion, I think, and Lady Gaga are rumored to be there.
The gay icons.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it. What I love about the story is it just the historical nature of it is always bringing us back to the fact that, homosexuality has been around for such a long time. Dates back to the Roman bathhouses, back in ancient Rome and Greeks. And so I just love the historical context so that people know that we're not a new thing. Gay people just didn't just pop up one day, right?
No.
We've been around for a long time, and some of your forefathers and grandfathers and fathers and brothers probably are gay too.
Do either of you remember the scene in the movie The Birdcage with Nathan Lane and the late Robin Williams where they're having the dinner party and Nathan Lane plays the mother? He goes into drag to keep on appearances for the future daughter-in-law's conservative parents, and they talk about the plates and the china, and they're saying, no, that's a boy and a girl playing leapfrog. It's not two boys, and it's just one of them, it really brings it down to earth and, the simplicity of history and what it is.
Yeah. I love it. And it was right on South Beach, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I joke with my husband once in a while. I said, would you like a set of those plates for Christmas?
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Wolverine's Hugh Jackman suggests piling on Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Hugh Jackman, known for playing Wolverine, has ideas for future Marvel Comic Universe films, including one with Tom Holland's Spider-Man to pile on him. Jackman is reprising his role as Wolverine in the Deadpool and Wolverine film, which will be released tomorrow alongside Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds, whose Marvel Comic Universe character is pansexual, began the joke in a press interview, and Jackman followed his lead by saying it would be fun for both of them to pal on. This film will introduce mutants into the Marvel Comic Universe, opening up new characters' crossover possibilities. Holland has been the MCU's Spider-Man since 2017 and has appeared in various crossover films, making a future showdown with Jackman's Wolverine entirely possible. No World from Holland on how Spider-Man feels about being their subject of their desire. Sounds fun.
It's a great movie. Please be sure to read my review of Deadpool and Wolverine in Out South Florida tomorrow at outsfl.com.
Ooh, I can't wait.
It's a really fun movie.
Me too, but I would love all the piling up. It sounds like fun.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If ever our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and in sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I am your anchor, Dr. Edward Summers, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Larry Farver and Mr. Gregg Shapiro, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you good night.
Good night.